Hello, Drama Llamas. We're back again for our Directing 101 series. This time we're talking about technical elements. Just a reminder, I'm Miss Stone, your friendly theater director and teacher for over 13 years. All right, let's get started. So before we get started, let me remind you of the major technical aspects for theater: set, scenery, props, lighting, sound, hair and makeup, costumes, house, and publicity. So when you're a director, you have to think about what all of this is going to look like. Here's a happy reminder of our hierarchy. Our producer is always at the top. You, the director, are going to be next. Then your technical director. You have your stage manager. Then you have people like your house manager, your publicity manager, or your box office manager. You have all your designers. And then at the bottom are your actual crew and actors. Just because people are at the bottom doesn't mean they're important, because if you don't have your crew running your show and you don't have your actors performing it, you don't have a show. So they're super important too. They just don't have as much say as you, the director. All right, let's talk about production meetings. First of all, you're like, what is a production meeting? So basically, this is a meeting that you have, usually weekly, but it's where you meet with your technical designers and crew and stuff like that, and you pass down information and clarification. Deadlines are established, a schedule is worked on, and usually this is directed, mainly a stage manager or the technical director will run this, and director is there to help clarify questions. You meet with, again, the stage managers, the directors, the technical directors, the designers, and sometimes crew, depending on your situation. What do you say in a production meeting? Well, you need to talk about scheduling, budget, if that's important, and other reports by the producer or the director. This update that you're doing in these production meetings needs to include, due dates, callbacks, casting information or changes, information about rehearsals, and other things. A technical director's updates also should be provided as well at this moment. You really should make sure you schedule and have other information that you need to pass down that may be important that your designers may not have known from the rehearsal reports. Research materials and all things included in your design process as well. How do you do a production meeting? Well, first you're going to set aside one day a week for the production to meet a scheduled time, a specific time. It's nice if you can provide them with refreshments. It'd just be nice, but be sure everyone has an agenda prior to the meeting and a script. Please set a short meeting time limit. You're there to just pass information and do a check-in. What do you do in a production meeting? So you're going to maintain and update schedules and budgets. You're going to review director updates about whatever information they have that they need to update the technical aspects. During the update, the technical director should also provide an update where everything is as far as all the stuff that's being done. You're establishing the designs in place, so designers show sketches and things like that, and other details that need to be shared to the director so they know that things are being done. All right, next let's talk about stage management. So in addition to working with all the crew and things like that, you hopefully will have a stage manager. Let's also think that sometimes new directors are often their own stage managers. So here's a quick little crash course of what you, or if you're lucky enough to have a stage manager, what you need to do. So, stage managers provide indispensable practical and organizational support for directors, performers, designers, and technical crew throughout the production and rehearsal process, and supervise onstage and backstage activities during performances to make sure the show goes off without a hitch. Sometimes you are your own stage manager as a new director. If you have a stage manager, use them wisely. Must-dos for stage managers and directors' dailies. You need to do daily rehearsal reports that are sent to both technical crew and actors. Just send it to everybody. And then attendance reports. Let's go over these. These are two pieces of paperwork. I'm going to show you some examples in a second that are specifically there to make sure you know what has happened, others have known what has happened, and also to keep attendance for not only yourself, but also if, say, in the future, you rehearse with someone and they've been absent a lot from one production, you might not want to recast them. And the same thing, you also may have to fire people if they have been absent a lot. This is a basic rehearsal report. You're going to notice that this is the one I typically kind of use. We have the production, the number, what rehearsal it was, the date, we'll put the stage manager's name or the director's name. The start, the stop time, if there was a break time. We talk about what we did in rehearsal, any general notes that we have for crew or actors. We have any absences, illness, or injury, or lateness. We put all that information there so then we know what's going on. If there's been any changes, cuts, additions, whatever to the script, or whatever you need, something has changed in the script, then you put that under script, music, or sound. If you need to, like, all of a sudden you were rehearsing and you're like, oh, we need a sound cue here, you put that down there. Same thing for like costumes, hair, makeup, lighting, scenery, props, publicity, whatever. So you just give them notes. Here's two more examples of rehearsal reports. It's really kind of up to you and your stage manager or your department, whoever's presenting the play. They may want it specific times. So it's kind of just go with what they want, but you do want all the crew position, all the technical elements present on your sheet, because you're going to find that your director or you as the director, you're going to find that you need random props or you need to add things in as you go, or notes about design. This is a basic rehearsal report. You're going to notice that it has all the, again, the important department information at the top. You're also going to notice that you have everybody's name, and you can divide it however you want. It's an example of ABC order. Then it has the dates. You're going to notice that we do it by week. And then we have like a key, like so-and-so was late, it's an excused absence, an unexcused absence, or they weren't called. This is also helpful for like sending out reminders of when things are, because if you set it up for the week and you notice you only have to tell like 3 actors that they're called today, then that's easy. Now, weekly must-dos. Production meeting agendas, weekly rehearsal reports, or call sheets, checking in on the progress of tech paperwork and practical work. Let me go back. So you have that weekly production meeting like I was talking about. You need to make agendas and send it out before the meeting so that people have a chance to read it and be ready for the meeting. And then your weekly rehearsal reports or call sheets are there to let people know who's called that week. Then, of course, you want to check in on your tech, on your designers, see where they're at with their paperwork and their practical work, like where are they practically in building the set. If you don't check on them weekly, then you're not holding them accountable. You do need to check on your tech. All right, here's an example of production meeting agenda. Basically, like a check-in, who's called. One thing that's very important is this weekly call sheet. I may have called it a report in the original slide, but it's a call sheet. So any day that you have rehearsal for the week, whatever you consider the week, you want to put one of these call sheet out. I kind of talked about this before, but you need to put the date, the time, the location, what you need, who you need called, what's called specifically there, so that people have a visual of what's happening this week. And a lot of paperwork is there to help clarify so that you don't get asked a million questions, because it's gonna be stressful. All right, number 3, important tech-specific rehearsals. All right, so there are multiple types of rehearsals, as I talked about before in one of our videos, but I'm talking about specific with tech. So first is dry tech. This is a run-through without actors, intended by the director, stage manager, lighting designer, sound designer, scenic designer, and appropriate running crews to look at the intensity, timing, and placement of various cues. And to make everything should sort of be ready for dry tech rehearsal, meaning all your technical elements should generally be ready. And you sit down, and usually you do this, it's also maybe called a paper tech, where you sit down and you write in your scripts where things happen and go. Wet tech. If the dry tech is without actors, then think of it like this: wet tech with actors. The first technical rehearsal that includes actors in all departments, except for costume and hair and makeup. This rehearsal is more for technical crews than it is for the actors. So there may be a lot of stopping, starting, and usually held after dry tech. Wet tech is long and can be difficult, or it can be very quick depending on how prepared you were for dry tech. Often there's a lot of stop and start. It's not so much about the actors at that point, except for them to notice any of the technical elements that cue them. It's more for the tech. And you have to have a lot of patience. And this is where sometimes you may fix and change things in wet tech. All right. Now, grand dress or final dress rehearsal. In theater, a dress rehearsal gives the actors a chance to say their lines and hit their marks one last time before opening night. It's called a dress rehearsal because performers wear their full costume and hair and makeup. And they're dressed just as they would be doing a regular performance. And I would highly suggest, even if you have like friends or other actors who aren't in that show that are your friends in the department, I would highly suggest having an audience, especially if it's a comedy, come to your dress rehearsal. That way, a small audience, not a big one. That way, your actors can get used to people laughing, especially if it's a comedy, because, you have to hold for laughter. So, but grand dress, very important for both actor and crew. So, yeah, those are the main types of rehearsals. All right, quick tips for tech. All right, when you're designing your tech for your show, keep it KISS. Keep it simple, silly. Especially if you have no budget or you are a baby director, you don't want to overcomplicate what you need for your tech, because tech takes time to prepare. So, especially if you're on a time crunch, you got to keep it really simple. Communicate a lot with your technical people, your crew, your designers, etc. They should not be confused about when things are due. What you want, etc. Speaking of when things are due, set deadlines and check in multiple times before the deadline. When you set a deadline, it really lets them know, I got to get my stuff together by this date. And if you check in, you can see their progress. 4, use crew call days wisely. If you're bringing in your crew during a rehearsal time, use them wisely. If you're going to have them have a list of things you need to get done or that your designers need you to get done, and divide and conquer that crew, get them out there, get them working on stuff that you need done so that you can meet those deadlines. Don't just have them sitting there doing nothing. Always have something for people to do at rehearsals. Lastly, make sure you treat your crew and designers well. Your crew and your designers work really hard, and sometimes you don't see all that hard work that goes into creating your show because you're off doing whatever you need to do to make sure the show is great. So you need to respect them. And sometimes you have to remember that the actors, like, people see them, they know them, and they see them visually, so they get a lot of applause. But your designer and your designers and your crew and your stage manager, whoever's running your show, they also deserve applause. So treat them well, and they will treat you well as a director. Well, guys, that has been our 3rd installment of Directing 101, Technical Elements as our focus. We hope you have a great day and you become the best director you can be. All right, Drumalines. See you later. Bye.